So the first thing we're going to talk about here is what exactly is a P&L or profit and loss. This is a report that is extremely useful that probably is not run nearly enough in a lot of the different companies that use Lizzy. So the profit and loss, there's two primary reports that any business owner, bank, or finance institution would want to see related to a business. And one of them is the profit and loss. The profit and loss is basically a view of all of the money that you have coming into the company and all of the money that you have going out. So every time you pay a bill, it shows up on the profit and loss. Every time you receive an order, or you have parts inventory moving, or you're selling inventory, all of the things that are going on inside of the company show up on the P&L. Now, if I were to ask you, what does the company look like in respect to how much money do you have and how much inventory do you have? Well, those kinds of things show up on your balance sheet. So the profit and loss is not going to tell me how much money I have in checking. What it's going to tell me is how much money got spent out of checking to pay bills, and how much money did we put into checking when we received money for goods that we sold, or for anything like that we're moving through inventory or through the checking account. So it's kind of a good idea to understand what it is we're looking at. So again, P&L is the money that's moving. It's not the money that you have on, or the inventory or anything that you have on hand. So having said that, up here at the top, we have the date range that we want to actually run the P&L. I want to look at it for yesterday. I want to look at it for last month. And we can also compare information from a previous time period, so that we're actually looking at two periods at once. The level 1, 2, 3 that's here, if we look at our chart of accounts for just a second. So I'm going to jump over here to the chart of accounts, and we're going to take a look at the chart of accounts. Now, you'll notice here that everything, when I first opened the chart of accounts, these are all the things that show up. These are what we classify as a level 1 chart of accounts, or a level 1 profit and loss or balance sheet, depending on what you're running. If I wanted to see a level 2, then what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to come down and click on every one of these left-hand arrows one time. You'll notice this one has one inside of it, but I'm only going to click on them once, and I'm going to open up every single one of these. That's a level 2. If I want to see a level 3, that is full detail. I don't care what you have in the chart of accounts. It's going to open up every single arrow that it has, and it's going to run you a profit and loss on every bit of detail that it can get out of the chart of accounts. Now, you can only level or layer the chart of accounts in 3 layers: the top layer, the next layer, and then one more layer, which is this third layer. So what it basically does is it allows you, through the reports module or through the chart of accounts module, to kind of control the way the P&L is going to look, so that when you're running a P&L, a level 3 P&L, it's going to be grouped the same way that you had grouped your profit and loss or your chart of accounts. So having said that, we have our level 1, 2, and 3. We also have the ability to run the department or the profit and loss based on departmental. So if you're using departmental accounting, you can actually tell it to look at the P&L specifically for parts or service or new unit sales, however you have your department set up. And in addition, if you have multiple locations, we can tell it to run for multiple locations. Now, if we are running a P&L for the bank, then we may want to exclude the shrinkage hits, and shrinkage hits are basically where inventory is disappearing, and we're, we go to pull apart and we can't find it, so we end up having to adjust it out of inventory. That hits shrinkage. So this gives you the ability to exclude that account hit. And then you've got the ability to download to a spreadsheet or to print as a PDF. So those are your options that you have. And so the P&L that we have is basically laid out like any other company P&L. You've got your income items up here at the top. You get down until you get to your income total. Then you've got your cost of goods section, which is the cost of selling inventory. So it's kind of important to understand that when you sell, for example, when we come up here and we sell parts for Parts Unlimited, there's a cost associated with selling those parts. And so if we come down here, here's the cost associated with selling the Parts Unlimited parts. And then down under that, you're going to get your operating expenses, which are basically other expenses that you've written checks for, all of those types of things, your rent, your telephone bill, all of the extra things that go into running the business. And you're going to end up with an expense total. And then we've got our net income and loss section, which will tell you how much money you've actually made in the company. So the P&L is a very, very handy thing to look at. It also allows you to kind of make sure that your profit margin is what it ought to be, so that you're not losing money and that you don't have certain vendors that are lower than they should be, so that you can go through and research those. If you tell the system up here, if you hit this display, it'll give you the ability to set your compare process. So the system, gives you a lot of different options for being able to compare to other periods and get what you're looking for out of the P&L.